Good evening, comic book fans. Back from the comic shop tonight. Got a nice, reasonable 7 comics for $24. There were 2 that tempted me, but Book of the Dead, #1 from Valiant, but I didn't want to pay $4 for it. And the Island Anthology, which was $8. I didn't want to pay that for it either, so I figured I spent enough money this week, so I didn't want to up my bill by another $10. But anyway, I like the ones I got. First off is Dark Horse Presents. That and the Island Anthology made me go, I already get Dark Horse Presents. It's an anthology. Lots of nice work in it. I always enjoy it. This is a $5 comic, but it's 48-page $5 comic. So there's always, though I must say, they do a lot of, I noticed in this is volume 3 of Dark Horse Presents. They do a lot of stuff that's, what do they call it? The kind of zero issues of new series and stuff. But I never buy the new series, so I'm kind of always disappointed when it turns out to be like an 8-page intro story to a series I'll never get. But I still enjoy the book. It's a good one. And next we have Rachel Rising, number 35. I always like this one. There is nothing wrong with Rachel Rising. An excellent story. Lilith has just come. She was kind of the villain of the first story arc. She's come back from the dead to team up with Rachel, our hero, this time for some reason, as they try to, I don't know, stave off the end of the world and the Antichrist and this and that. Rachel Rising is still, a lot of Terry Moore stuff is about the characters rather than the plot, and that still holds true in this one too. Fan of Terry Moore, continue buying his stuff. If you like a good horror comic, check out Rachel Rising. And then we have The Empty, number 5 by Jimmy Robinson, as it says there. I've very much been enjoying this one. It's turned into sort of a quest book, where they add new characters to the quest every issue. It's very imaginative. Sort of a primitive world where all sorts of things have gone wrong, and we don't know as much about the world as we should, and neither do any of the characters in it. And so they're trying to figure out what went wrong in their world. Because there's evidence of all sorts of high technology, but not everybody knows it. And last 2 issues, they ran into these sentient insects. And maybe this used to be Earth. Maybe this is the future. Who knows? We really don't know. But I'm enjoying it. I don't know if it's a limited series or not. It seems like it is, because I would think there's an end to this story in mind, and it seems like it's getting there fairly quickly. So I don't know how many more issues are left in The Empty, but I'm going to keep going with it. And next, Drifter is back after a couple months break. Issue number 6. I very much enjoyed Drifter. Guy crashes on another planet. It's all mysterious. He doesn't know what happened to him. He supposedly showed up a year after he crashed, but he thinks it was yesterday. A lot of world building, all sorts of strange creatures and cultures on this planet. I just find the whole world interesting. The plot is kind of what the heck's going on in this planet, but there's sort of some well-built cultures, and Drifter runs into some interesting people, and I hope it continues for a while. We'll see where the second story arc goes. And now we have Usagi Yojimbo 147, The Thief, and the Kunoichi, part 3 of 3. We're back to our regular Usagi series after a mini-series, sci-fi mini-series of Usagi, and the 47 Ronin from... So this is the first time Usagi's been back in a few years, and it's as good as ever. Stan Sakai is just a master storyteller. All Usagi Yojimbo stories are kind of the same in that they're, Tales of the Rabbit Bodyguard. He's a Ronin wandering around ancient Japan, getting into trouble. Trouble finds him. He doesn't really want to get into trouble. And in this one, I think he runs into 2 thieves who we know from previous issues, who got into trouble stealing something, and then who was it? A samurai who we used to know shows up and wants after the two thieves, and Usagi's in the middle. It's just always it's just always a good story, Usagi Yojimbo. If you're looking to read something interesting, just pick up any volume you can find of Usagi Yojimbo. They're all jump-on friendly, and have a go. And now we have Warren Ellis and Jason Howard, Trees number 11. What happened last issue? I'm trying to remember. The woman... Oh, that's right. We were dealing with New York City. The last issue was kind of a lot of it was a flashback to when the trees first fell, and this woman also going to her new post in Norway or somewhere. They were getting into when the trees first fell, and one of them or grew, and one of them came up in the middle of Manhattan, and it was just a disaster. And it was the police chief and the new mayor going over events of the past and how much of it was a disaster, and they were, talking, and there's obviously lots and lots of corruption in current Manhattan in this world, so we'll see I have no idea where that Manhattan storyline is going, but we got two storylines going now with the woman from the first arc getting her new post with the trees in Norway, I think it was. I can't even remember. I wish I could keep track of those European countries, but it's also complicated. But Manhattan I can keep track of. That's where the other story takes place. And finally, we have Revival, number 31. This story is starting to meander a bit for my taste. I'm not sure. I've been a little disappointed with Revival lately. Beside the fact that things have actually been happening. They finally locked down the town, but I've been expecting that for 30 issues. So they finally locked down the town. The government's moved in. There's all sorts of conspiracy stuff going on. I still enjoy the book, but I don't know. Maybe it's just that after 31 issues, you kind of get tired of any book. But we'll see how this issue goes. I'm sure I'll like it as I actually read it. Maybe I'm just tired of the concept of Revival rather than the actual comic. But anyway, I'll keep reading this one. And now we'll give you a look at my artwork in the back. These are actually some of my street photos that I take and digitally manipulate. This one is actually, that's old. That's from, I think, 2004. A picture of a woman at, which concert? It was Good Morning America used to have concerts in Bryant Park where they'd, whoever was big in 2004 and was on Good Morning America, whatever musical guest they had, would do a concert in the park. And that's where I first went and was shooting crowds and street scenes and stuff like that. And then I do a lot of work in Photoshop in it. I have a bunch of filter recipes I use. I don't know if you can see the little dots in her face there. I break things down into shapes and dots and play with the color. And use also Here I Wait Because I Know You'll Be By. These ones I add type to. And they're just kind of one of the things I like to do with photos. I don't even know this person. I don't know any of the people who I photograph on the street, but I take them with the long lens from far away because I don't like to bother people. And I like those kind of moments, sort of like this one, that are unposed and just a moment between two people as they have coffee and laugh that are fleeting and no one ever takes pictures of because pictures are generally posed. What does that one say? Coffee and conversation keep us going. So this is one I used a slightly different technique on. You can see more dots in this one. More different colors and borders and shapes and geometry. But those two I just finished and printed out recently. This one is Union Square Park. I think that's from 3 years ago, maybe 2012 or 2013. I can't remember. But like I said, I go down to New York City and go to the parks and take the streets and take street photos and make them into, I call these photo caps, short for photo captions, because I like to find words to put with them. But anyway, there's a look at some of my photography / artwork. You guys have a good week out there and keep reading comics.